This is Booked for Drama, where stories burn, hearts break, the tea is always hot and never a part 2. Today we're diving into Rejecting the Alpha. Let's go. Chapter 1. It had been 3 years since I became Luna of the Nitros pack, and I still wasn't pregnant. After a year of failed IVF attempts, Dorian and I finally got lucky. We were having quadruplets. The pregnancy was brutal. I spent months throwing up everything I ate, my stomach swelling so large it felt like my skin might split. The healer advised a reduction, but Dorian shut it down without hesitation. Isabella, they're all our children, he said softly, resting his hand on my belly. I couldn't bear to lose a single one. I nodded, pale and trembling. I couldn't bear to lose them either. But then, one day, I overheard him talking to his friends. Dorian, this plan of yours is genius, one of them laughed. You got Isabella to carry babies for 4 different women in one go. Dorian's voice was calm, detached. I couldn't give them the title of Luna. The least I could do was give them a child. Isabella's the one who holds that position. This is her duty. The words hit me like ice water down my spine. My throat tightened. Tears blurred my vision. The babies inside me weren't mine? Only you could have pulled this off, someone else chimed in. Problem solved. 4 kids, 4 happy mothers. Another laughed. They're all gorgeous, too. Those kids are gonna be beautiful. Vivian was a shame, someone sighed. Died too young. Good thing Dorian made sure to leave her a child before the cancer took her. And Cecilia, she's been in love with Dorian for nearly 2 decades. Never got the man, but at least now she's getting his kid. A third voice added, but it's always been Miranda, hasn't it? She's the one Dorian truly loves. That's why he came up with this. The babies go to Isabella, no betrayal, no guilt. Wonder what Isabella would do if she ever found out, one of them joked. Think she'd lose it, knowing none of the babies are hers? She can be upset all she wants, Dorian said flatly. She's the one who took the seat that never should have been hers. Laughter erupted, cruel, mocking. Come on, even if she knew, she'd still go through with it, someone sneered. She clawed her way into that Luna title, practically threw herself at his feet for it. Sure, she'll scream and cry, but the moment Dorian crooks a finger, she'll come running like she always does. I stood behind the door, frozen. The cold that started in my feet had crept all the way to my scalp. I looked down at my belly, swollen, tight, heavy. My fingernails dug into my skin as I whispered the question I already knew the answer to. What do they mean? They're not mine. 6 months of agony, nausea that left me bedridden, ankles so swollen I couldn't walk, countless injections, pills, tears. I gave everything to carry these children. And now they're telling me none of them are mine? The voices outside kept talking, but I couldn't hear a thing anymore. Vivian. I remembered her, Dorian's first love. She'd passed away recently. I even felt a little sorry for her at the time. I didn't know that while she was already buried, I was carrying her child. It was too absurd to process. My whole body went numb. It took everything I had not to storm out and confront them right then. Yet they were placing bets now, guessing the gender of my babies like it was a game. Every time I heard Dorian's voice, my skin crawled. 4 years of a mate bond, and I never truly knew the man I mated with. Vivian, Cecilia, who were the other two? Cecilia had always been around. Dorian's childhood friend. She'd loved him forever, but he never gave her his heart. So instead, he gave her a child? A bitter laugh escaped my lips. And then came the tears. If he wanted to give them children so badly, why did I have to be the one to suffer for it? How could he be so heartless? Chapter 2. My fists clenched so tight my nails cut into my palms. Blood beaded on my lip from where I'd bitten it raw. I used to think Dorian's care, his constant concern over the babies, meant he loved me. I mistook the prenatal vitamins, the healer's meticulous instructions, the way he'd rest his hand on my belly, as signs of love. Turns out, it was all a lie. The laughter outside grew louder, voices rising and overlapping in excitement. I'm betting 2 boys, 2 girls. Nah, I say all 4 are boys. Then came a syrupy female voice, sweet enough to curdle my stomach. You're all betting on boys. I think girls are wonderful. I'll say 3 girls and 1 boy. She giggled, then turned coyly. What about you, Dorian? Do you prefer boys or girls? That voice, I recognized it. Dorian's beta. He answered with a careless shrug. I like both, but boys are probably better. Girls are too delicate. Ethan jumped in, laughing. Come on, man, what's your bet? Dorian chuckled. Well, if Miranda likes girls, I'll go with 3 boys and 1 girl. Miranda. Of course it was her. I let out a bitter laugh. They were flirting right under my nose, and I hadn't even noticed. Was it because they acted too well, or because I was just that naive? Miranda pouted. Delicate? What's that supposed to mean? Dorian pulled her into his arms, a smirk on his lips. Weren't you the one who chickened out of carrying the baby yourself? You cried through the whole egg freezing process. It really hurt, she whined. Then added suddenly, oh right, Isabella never cried, did she? Not once during all those injections. She went through IVF for over a year. Dorian snorted. Of course she didn't cry. Isabella doesn't feel pain like normal people. She really didn't shed a single tear. Not like you, tiny scratch and you're already crying. Ethan snickered, piling on. That's because Miranda's got someone to catch her when she falls. Love makes you soft. Poor Isabella? She's on her own. No room for weakness when you've got no one to fall back on. Exactly, another voice agreed. Dorian couldn't stand to see Miranda go through the pain of childbirth, so he came up with this perfect solution. Let Isabella carry the pups instead. I mean, have you seen her belly? Looks like it's about to explode. God knows what she'll look like after popping out 4 kids. Not like Dorian was ever tempted to look at her naked before, now? Their voices blurred into disgusting laughter, crude and loud, full of filth and ridicule. I staggered back a step, my vision swimming. My face had gone ghost white. They thought I didn't feel pain? Of course I did, but I endured it, because I believed I was carrying my children. Mine and Dorian's, so I took it all in silence. No matter how deep the needles went, no matter how swollen my limbs became, no matter how my teeth shattered blood into my mouth, I stayed quiet. And what did I get for that? They called me cold, unfeeling. I still remember the day our IVF finally succeeded. Dorian had held my hands so tightly, his eyes full of worry. You've suffered so much for our babies, Isabella. He used to place his palm over my belly and talk to the unborn pups like they could hear him. You better behave there, don't give your mom a hard time. When I couldn't eat from the nausea, he'd sit beside me and spoon soup into my mouth one bite at a time. You need to eat something. You've lost weight since the pregnancy started. Once they're out, I'm gonna make sure they know how much they owe you. So that was it. His concern wasn't for me. It was for the babies. I was nothing more than the vessel that carried them. I closed my eyes, wiped the tears from my face, and scheduled the abortion. Dorian, this time, I'm the one leaving you. And the children you're so eager to meet? I won't be giving them to you either. Chapter 3. By the time I stepped out, Ethan and the others were already gone. Only Dorian and Miranda remained in the living room. I deliberately made some noise as I approached, just enough to give them time to adjust. Now wasn't the time to confront them. Not yet. Miranda's cheeks were still flushed as she pretended to give Dorian a work report. Dorian, there's a meeting tonight that requires your personal attendance. The car's waiting outside. When she spotted me, she put on that sugary sweet smile. Hello, Luna. Then her gaze slid to my belly, and the corner of her mouth curled with smug satisfaction. Your belly looks even bigger now. You're so blessed, carrying Dorian's quadruplets all at once. I stared at her fake face, too drained to respond. Sensing the tension, Miranda quickly excused herself. But just before stepping out, she turned back and shot Dorian a glance, some silent signal I wasn't meant to catch. Dorian's brows furrowed slightly when he saw me emerge from the guest room. When did you get back? He asked carefully. Why didn't you say anything? His tone was casual on the surface, but I could hear the undercurrent of unease. I saw the moisture still glistening at the corner of his lips, and my chest tightened like something sharp was lodged there. It was so obvious now. And yet, somehow, I'd been blind for so long. I forced a bitter smile and looked away. I was tired when I got back. I fell asleep in the guest room. Just woke up. Relief washed over his face. Like he was off the hook. How was the checkup today? I really wanted to go with you, but something urgent came up in the pack. He sounded guilty, and once upon a time, I believed that guilt was real. I used to reassure him, work came first, I'd be fine on my own. Not anymore. It went fine. The healer said the babies are healthy. He asked a few more detailed questions before finally seeming satisfied. This was how he always was, meticulous, attentive, asking after every little thing. I'd mistaken it for love. Now I knew better. That concern wasn't for me. It was for the babies. Dorian came over and rested a hand on my belly, speaking softly to the pups inside. The old me would have smiled through tears, overwhelmed by happiness. But now, all I felt was blood dripping from my heart. I clenched my fists to stay calm, but my throat burned, and my eyes stung. He didn't notice. He never noticed, because he didn't care. There's a last-minute meeting tonight. I'll be back late, he said, pressing a kiss to my forehead. Take care of yourself while I'm gone. I forced a nod. Okay. Once he left, I gripped the stair railing and slowly made my way upstairs. Since my belly had grown too large to see the steps below, I'd moved into the downstairs guest room 5 months ago, for safety. It had been a long time since I'd set foot in our bedroom. I pushed the door open, and the sight nearly knocked the air from my lungs. The bed was still messy, the sheets tangled and stained with the evidence of their betrayal. Our wedding photo sat in a frame on the nightstand beside the bed. What a cruel joke. Pain pulsed through my chest, sharp and relentless. Tears streamed down my cheeks before I could stop them, but I wiped them away and forced myself to move. I dug through drawers and cabinets, gathering all my documents and IDs. Just before heading back down, I found myself drawn to the window. And when I looked out, I saw it. The car still hadn't left. It rocked back and forth, rhythm uneven and unmistakable. I shut my eyes. The nausea surged instantly. That night, Dorian returned past midnight. His shirt smelled like Miranda's perfume. He laid beside me and reached out, gently cupping my belly as if it were sacred. I stayed still, eyes closed, pretending to sleep. But memories flooded my mind, his hands, his words, the promises, and my tears soaked silently into my hair. I didn't understand, but it didn't matter anymore. The next morning, I went to the healer. She frowned the moment I walked in. You're nearly 7 months along, Isabella. Terminating now is extremely risky. I can't recommend it. My expression didn't shift. I gave her a calm, rehearsed lie. After a long series of evaluations and consultations, we settled on a date for the procedure, 3 days from now. I returned home drained, both body and mind. 3 days to get ready. And before I left, I'd leave Dorian Sinclair one final gift, one he'd regret for the rest of his life. Chapter 4. When Dorian came home, I was in the nursery on the first floor, making final adjustments. Most of the items in the room, I'd picked them out myself. Some, Dorian had bought. 4 tiny cribs, 4 pastel-colored bottles, rows of baby socks, mittens, and onesies lining the drawers. The space was warm, soft, and full of love. Every detail had once held my hopes, my dreams. I used to count the days until the babies arrived, because I thought they were a part of us. A part of our love. Now, all I felt was the sting of betrayal, slicing through me like a knife to the heart. Suddenly, one of the pups kicked inside me, as if sensing my unraveling. I laid a hand on my belly, emotion tearing through me in opposite directions. For a moment, I just stood there, caught between grief and fury. Then slowly, I let my hand fall. And with it, I let go of everything that was never mine to begin with. Isabella, why are you crying? Dorian's voice came from behind me. I turned to see him standing in the doorway, frowning slightly. I wiped my face with the back of my hand. Nothing, I was just thinking, 3 more months and we'll finally meet them. I'm happy, that's all. He didn't question it, I can't wait to meet them either. A moment later, he spoke again, like it had just occurred to him. Ethan's hosting a yacht party the day after tomorrow. You want to come? How long? 3 days. One look at him, and I knew he didn't want me there. That was fine. I had things to take care of, too. I smiled. I'll stay home. It's too much right now with the pregnancy. You go and have fun. The next night, Dorian left for the yacht trip with Ethan and the others. Right before boarding, he turned around and looked back at me, as if some part of him sensed something wasn't right. I stood at the front door, calm and composed, and watched him disappear from sight. Photos and updates from the trip began flooding social media soon after. Everyone was there. Later that evening, someone posted a video in the group chat. They were holding another round of bets, this time, gambling on whose baby would be born first. I'll put down 10 million, my money's on Vivian's. 10 million on Cecilia. 50 million, mine, another voice said. The woman turned to the camera with a smug smile. Dorian, this time I'm not backing down. Your kid with Miranda can be little siblings to mine. The lighting was dim, figures shifting under the glow of string lights, but I recognized that voice instantly. Lydia, Dorian's sister, the 4th child, was hers. I stared at the screen, metallic bitterness rising in my throat. Lydia had always despised me. The feeling was mutual, and I didn't like her either. I just never imagined her child would be one of the 4 inside me. Dorian, how could you? How could you be this cruel? In the video, Dorian let out a low laugh. I'm putting down 100 million. First one born will be Miranda's. 50 million on Dorian. I'm in for 52. The room was full of cheering, mockery, excitement. Every single person in that room knew the truth. And me? I was just the vessel. The punchline to their private joke. God, I wish I could see Isabella's face when she finds out she spent 9 months carrying my baby, Lydia giggled in the background. That would be priceless. I couldn't see her expression, but I didn't need to. I knew exactly what it looked like. Smug, triumphant. I stared at the screen with burning eyes, and then I laughed. Let's gamble then. I'm betting this time, every last one of you will lose. I picked up my phone and made the call. Is everything ready? The pain of the induction was worse than I imagined. But physical pain was nothing compared to what I felt inside. When I opened my eyes again, it was over. I didn't look at them. Not once. I simply called for a same-day courier. Chapter 5. The yacht docked at sunset. Dorian stepped off the deck, Miranda at his side, Lydia and the others close behind. They were laughing, still riding high on the thrill of the past 3 days' booze, music, luxury, and secrets shared under the stars. Someone in the crowd piped up casually, "Hey, did you guys see that post? Some pregnant woman got into a car crash today, she was carrying quadruplets." The moment those words dropped, Dorian's brows knotted sharply. He shot the guy with a cold glare. Lydia let out a light laugh. "Oh, come on, Dorian. Don't tell me you're worried it's Isabella?" Just then, a courier walked over, dragging a small dolly cart behind him. "Miss Miranda, Miss Lydia, Miss Cecilia deliveries for each of you. And one for Mr. Dorian Sinclair. Sign here, please." He handed out 4 packages, each one sealed and reeking of something metallic and foul. The women exchanged uneasy glances. Lydia wrinkled her nose. What the hell is that smell? Miranda flinched. A prank maybe? Lydia shoved her package into her hands. "You open it. I'm not touching that." Miranda and Cecilia, though hesitant, followed suit. Dorian stared at his own box, unease curling in his gut like smoke. Behind him, Ethan's voice trembled. "Dorian, I think that pregnant woman. I think it was Isabella." Lydia's eyes widened. "Wait, what? What about the babies? Are they okay?" The courier, still lingering nearby, shrugged. "I saw the crash too. The lady was huge, like about to pop. Said she was carrying 4. One crash, 5 lives gone. Tragic stuff." Dorian's hands shook. The package slipped from his grip, crashing to the pavement. The lid cracked open, and what lay inside made the air still. Across from him, the other 3 packages were being opened. The women screamed, around them, people gasped and turned away, faces draining of color. The contents weren't gory, but they were unmistakable. Burned, ashen, cold. It didn't take much to realize what they were. Dorian stared down, frozen. Then like something inside him snapped, he lunged for the courier, grabbing him by the shirt. "This can't be real. It's not real. Where is she? Where the hell is Isabella?" The courier blinked, confused and alarmed. "Who? I don't know any Isabella. I just deliver what I'm given, man." Dorian let go of him, chest heaving, rage and panic tearing through him in equal measure. She knew. Isabella knew everything. And this was how she chose to tell them. "These aren't my children," he muttered, fists clenched. "And Isabella isn't dead." He pulled out his phone, dialing frantically. Behind him, Lydia smacked the box from her boyfriend's hands and shrieked, "I don't care if she's dead, what about my child? How could she be so selfish? Couldn't she wait 3 more months?" Miranda stood pale, shaken, too stunned to speak. Cecilia hissed, 7 months along, just 3 more months and the babies would have been born. And now it's all wasted. Someone muttered something about Vivian, noting bitterly that unlike the others, she was already gone. She'd never get another chance. At the edge of the crowd, a voice added, guess the betting pool's off, huh? Yeah, what a damn shame. Another voice chimed in, you think she found it? Of course she did. Why else would she do this? Weren't hers. Their whispers scraped against Dorian's skull like nails on stone. He tightened his grip on the phone. Still no answer. The silence made his skin crawl. Shut the fuck up, he roared. Everyone fell silent. He turned on Ethan, grabbed him by the collar. Where did you see it? The accident. Where? Dorian lost it. He tore through the city like a storm, calling every hospital, every clinic, every police contact he had. But in the end, he found nothing. Nothing except a box of ashes. The patient suffered massive blood loss, the nurse explained. Before we could notify her family, she said she didn't have any. Left behind a written request said she wanted immediate cremation. No funeral. A letter was handed to him. His fingers trembled as he unfolded the paper. There was only one sentence. Dorian, we're even now. Chapter 6. Grief didn't come gently. It hit Dorian like a tidal wave, fast, brutal, and unforgiving. He stood frozen, clutching the letter in his hand, his knuckles bone white. His eyes were bloodshot, locked on those words like they were a curse carved into his soul. The others had followed him here, Miranda, Lydia, Cecilia, but none of them came out of guilt. They came because they wanted answers. Not about me. About the babies. Wait, she really died? Lydia's face twisted. That means all those hormone shots were for nothing. I went through hell for this. Miranda frowned. We were so close, almost 7 months. But then she remembered the boxes. The ash. The end is like this. Her face paled again, the chill returning to her face. Dorian turned on them, eyes sharp enough to cut. Isabella is dead, he said, voice low and dangerous. And all you care about is the children? Lydia scoffed. What, you want me to cry over her? She's dead, so what? My child died with her. If she were alive, I'd make her pay and beg for forgiveness. The slap came out of nowhere. It cracked across Lydia's face with such force she stumbled back, stunned. She was your sister-in-law. Dorian bellowed. How could you say something like that? Lydia clutched her cheek, eyes wide in disbelief. Sister-in-law? I never accepted her. Isabella never deserved to be Luna. She was nothing but a... Dorian lunged again, but her boyfriend yanked her out of reach. Miranda, shaken, stepped in quickly, changing her tone. That's not what she meant. Of course we're upset those babies were ours, our blood. But how did Isabella even end up in a car crash? That set something off in Dorian. His hand clenched around the letter again, his voice tight. She found out. He looked around the room, fury pulsing off him. She knew the truth. That's why she sent the ashes. That's why she left. His eyes landed on a pack member lurking near the edge of the room. The video, he said darkly. You posted it. He lunged. A sickening crack echoed through the air as Dorian's fists found their target again and again. I didn't mean it, the man sobbed, blood pouring from his mouth. I didn't know she'd see it. Ethan tried to pull Dorian back. Stop it, Dorian, stop. If you keep going, you'll kill him. But Dorian whirled and drove a punch straight into Ethan's face. The crunch of cartilage echoed. Ethan went down hard, clutching his face, blood spurting from his nose. Dorian didn't stop. Anyone who came close, he swung at. He was past the point of control, wild, feral, not alpha but beast. Miranda backed away, terrified. Dorian, please? Lydia rushed to stop him, hands trembling. Dorian, these are your friends. Are you really going to kill them for her? For Isabella? She's dead, and you didn't even like her. You said it yourself, she wasn't your fated mate. So what the hell are you so angry about now? Dorian turned, eyes red, veins bulging in his neck. And then he grabbed Lydia by the throat. Shut your mouth, Miranda screamed, rushing forward. But Dorian turned to her, his voice sharp. That's your sister. What are you doing? It was you. You were the one who suggested Isabella should carry the baby. I didn't mean it that way, Miranda stammered. I only said childbirth was painful. At that moment, the truth hit him. It hadn't been Miranda's idea at all. It had been his. Because Miranda feared the pain, he thought of me because I never did. His hand dropped as if the strength had drained from his body, his eyes dull and vacant, like a man finally realizing the weight of what he'd done. Lydia, disgusted by his sudden display of emotion, stepped forward and tore through his silence with brutal clarity. Really, Dorian? Are we supposed to believe that now, after Isabella's gone, you've discovered some buried love for her? Because the last I checked, you were the one who claimed you didn't even like her. You were the one who agreed she should carry someone else's child. You're also the one who fed her birth control for 3 years so she couldn't get pregnant, and when that failed, you tricked her into IVF. The 4 children growing in her belly weren't a surprise, Dorian, they were your idea. So don't stand there like some grieving lover. You won't regret it now. Chapter 7. It was only now too late that Dorian finally realized everything he had done to me over the years. But some realizations come too late. And delayed love is worth less than nothing. From that moment on, he began to unravel. He refused to accept I was truly gone. He hired private investigators, combed through reports, chased dead ends. Eventually, someone got their hands on the footage of the crash. He barely made it halfway through before he had to stop, shaking. After that, he started drinking hard. He'd lock himself in my old room, the one that still smelled like me, drowning himself in whiskey and regret. Some nights he'd sit alone in the nursery, staring at the tiny cribs, the soft onesies, the alphabet blocks I'd carefully picked out, and cry until he passed out. Then came the obsession. He began rewatching the crash footage over and over, frame by frame, minute by minute, looking for anything that didn't add up. And eventually, he found it. Something was off. The moment he realized I faked my death, he snapped into motion. Within 1 month, he had tracked down my new address. He booked the next flight without hesitation. But someone else had heard too. Miranda was already at the airport by the time he arrived. She ran toward him, blocking his path, desperation in her eyes. Dorian, don't go. Whatever you want, I'll give it to you. Don't you see? Isabella ran. She faked her death because she doesn't love you anymore. Her voice cracked. I'll give you children 10 if you want. Just please, don't leave me. Dorian paused, his face calm, too calm. He gently brushed her hand away. My mate has always been Isabella. No one else. Tears spilled down Miranda's face. But you loved me, she whispered. You never even liked her. Dorian, why? He turned to her, his voice quiet. I spent years angry at her for bonding with me, for becoming my Luna. But deep down, I knew. It was always her. It's always been. Isabella. He pulled a checkbook from his coat pocket, scribbled something, and handed it to her without a second glance. Take the money. And stay the hell away from her. Then he walked away without looking back. But it was already too late. By the time he arrived, I was gone. I had returned to Wintermere. I never intended to hide forever. I knew Dorian would find out eventually. He was the one who made the mistakes. He was the one who had to live with them. All I had to do was begin again. The next time we saw each other was at a charity gala. I arrived on the arm of Theron Valmont, dressed in silver satin, head held high. People who once thought they knew turned to stare, clearly stunned by the change. And that was when Dorian stormed in like a man who'd been holding his breath for weeks. His eyes found me instantly. He pushed through the crowd and grabbed my wrist, eyes blazing red. Isabella, he choked. You're alive. He reached for me, maybe to hold me, maybe to beg. But before he could touch me, Theron stepped in and kicked him square in the chest. Dorian stumbled back, nearly falling. Theron's voice was low and dangerous. Touch her again, and I'll break your hand. I could sense his jealousy flaring, so I reached over and gently took his hand. Only then did his anger ease. And just like that, my heart settled too, because for the first time, someone was standing up for me without hesitation. When I turned to Dorian again, there was no emotion left in my eyes. No hatred, no love, just emptiness. He stared at our clasped hands like they were knives in his chest. His voice cracked. Who is he? I smiled faintly. My fiancé. Dorian's world tilted. Theron had loved me for 10 years. And for those same 10 years, I'd been in love with Dorian. But unlike Dorian, Theron had waited. And when I finally opened my eyes, he was right there, steady, patient, unshakable. This time, my eyes weren't clouded. I saw the depth of his love, fierce, unwavering, and I let myself feel it. A week ago, I accepted Theron's proposal. He's been nothing but good to me, and my heart is finally ready to open again. Dorian gave a sharp, bitter laugh. Isabella, we haven't even broken the mate bond. And now you're engaged? I met his eyes and said clearly, we have broken the bond. Chapter 8. Just a month ago, right before Dorian left for the yacht party, I had handed him a thick stack of documents, most of them insurance policies, investment papers, routine things he wouldn't think twice about signing. Tucked neatly between them was something else. The mating bond dissolution papers. So yes, we were already broken. The bond was gone. Now, standing in front of me, Dorian looked like he'd just been gutted. His eyes reddened instantly, the whites bleeding into a violent shade of disbelief. You can't do that, he rasped. I never agreed to this. You can't just dissolve the bond without my... I didn't flinch. They've already been processed. You should have received the finalized copy at your house last week. I met his stare, my voice calm and clean. From now on, you go your way. I'll go mine. We are nothing to each other. My words hit like a whip. Dorian's fists clenched. His voice trembled. Isabella, please. I'm sorry. I know I screwed up everything I did. The IVF, the lies, it was all wrong. But I'll make it right. Just tell me what you want, punish me, scream at me, I don't care. Just, suddenly, he dropped to his knees. And before anyone could react, he began slapping himself across the face. Hard. I'm the bastard. I'm the one who broke everything, he sobbed, voice cracking. But I never wanted to break the mate bond. Please, give me one more chance. I watched him from above, cold and distant. I felt nothing. No relief. No victory. No satisfaction. Just emptiness. Theron stepped forward, eyes dark with disgust. If someone called you a monster, that would be too kind. Do you even hear yourself? You made her go through a year of injections and procedures, carried 4 pups to 7 months, and only then did she find out they weren't even hers. And now you think you deserve forgiveness? If I were you, I'd throw myself off the nearest cliff. You don't deserve her love, he finished. You don't even deserve her time. Get out. Dorian's face twisted in fury. He shot Theron with a venomous look. This is between me and Isabella. You have no right to butt in. Theron didn't miss a beat. Isabella is my fiancé. You're the outsider now. That pushed Dorian over the edge. He lunged at Theron, snarling, fists raised. Theron didn't back down. He had been waiting a long time to punch this man in the face. But I didn't want him hurt because of... Enough. My voice rang through the air. I stepped between them, locking eyes. It's over, I said. Whatever this was, Dorian, it ended long ago. With that, I wrapped my hand around Theron's arm and turned to leave, but Dorian grabbed me from behind. Don't go, he begged. Isabella, please don't leave me. The spot where his fingers gripped my wrist burned like fire. My body trembled against my will, a wave of instinctual fear washing over me. Theron saw it. Without hesitation, he shoved Dorian off and sent him crashing to the floor. I said don't touch her. Dorian got up, face bleeding, eyes wild. He lunged again. This time, they fought. Fists flew, bones cracked, blood hit the floor. But Dorian was no match for Theron. Theron had years of combat training under his belt, and unlike Dorian's desperate rage, every one of his movements was calculated. It didn't take long before Dorian's face was bruised and bloodied, but still, he wouldn't stop. Like a man possessed, he kept swinging wildly, as if hurting Theron might undo everything he'd already lost. I couldn't take it. Without thinking, I threw myself between them. Stop it. Theron reacted instantly, shielding me with his body just in time for Dorian's fist to land squarely on his back. A low grunt of pain escaped him, and in the next breath, he turned and sent Dorian flying with one clean, vicious kick. I rushed to Theron's side, my chest tightening at the sight of him wincing. Are you okay? Did he hurt you? He looked like he wanted to milk the sympathy, but the moment he saw my tear-filled eyes, his expression softened. Not at all, he said gently, pulling me into his arms. I'm fine, I swear. I turned to look at Dorian one last time. He was slumped on the marble, face covered in blood, trembling with rage and pain. But no bruise on his body could compare to the hollow ache in his chest. Because as he watched me reach for Theron's hand, watched me leave without hesitation, he finally understood he had lost me. Chapter 9. But even then, after everything, Dorian still refused to let go. He showed up over and over, as if redemption could be bought in pieces. A bracelet auctioned for $15 million. An entire rose estate planted by hand, every bloom the soft pink he once said matched my blush. He had my name tattooed over his heart. He lit up the entire city sky in a midnight storm of blue firework rain because I once said blue reminded me of peace. And yet, no matter how extravagant the gestures, I remained unmoved, because some wounds go too deep for beauty to heal. Theron and I were already planning our mating ceremony. I had originally wanted to wait. But Theron he didn't. He said he couldn't. So I said yes. When Dorian found out, he lost control. I stand another day without being bonded to me. He showed up at my doorstep, breathless, soaked in panic. Isabella, please, I'm begging you, don't bond with him. His eyes were bloodshot, tears falling freely as they hit the pavement between us. I've cut ties with Miranda. She's out of my life completely. I know you never liked Lydia. She's been banished from the pack. Gone. Cecilia? Gone too. Anyone you hated, I've made sure they'll never bother you again. I've erased them all, everyone. His voice cracked. Please, Isabella? I looked at him calmly. Then why haven't you disappeared yet? Dorian staggered back like I'd slapped him. His face, once proud, once perfect, was pale and broken. But still, he didn't leave. He stayed there, like a ghost chained to regret, reminding me of everything I'd worked so hard to forget. I know I was the one who wanted to bond with you first, I said slowly. I was the one who asked my father to seek a mating alliance with the Nitros pack. But if you never loved me, Dorian, why didn't you reject me? You used my loyalty to help your pack through its darkest days, and once you no longer needed me, you crushed everything I'd ever given you. You can't tell me what happened to my father's pack had nothing to do with you. We both know better. My voice shook, but not from sadness. From anger. From clarity. And those children, I wanted them more than anything. I cried for them, bled for them, I was ready to give them my life. But they weren't even mine. You made me carry children for your mistress, your admirer, your sister, and even one for someone already dead. I stared into his eyes, my voice steady and sharp. How dare you? He couldn't speak, didn't even try. His face had gone bone white, hands trembling at his sides. Just then, Theron arrived. Without a word, he stepped between us. Dorian reached out instinctively but froze before his fingers could brush my sleeve. I took Theron's hand, warm and steady in mine, and walked away. I didn't look back. I didn't hear the soft whisper that broke behind me. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Later that night, dazed and hollow, he got into his car. He never made it home. A crash took his life halfway through the drive. When they pulled his body from the wreckage, they found my wedding ring still clutched in his bloodstained hand. When the news reached me, I felt nothing. To me, he was just another stranger now, someone who no longer mattered. A week later, Theron and I held a grand mating ceremony. Surrounded by cheers and blessings, we sealed our bond with a kiss. The end. And that's a wrap on today's reading here at Booked for Drama. If you felt anything, rage, swoon, secondhand heartbreak, let me know in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with your fellow drama lovers. If you have any requests, drop them in the comments. Until next time, keep reading, and keep the drama on the page.